Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and it's late night live with some big deals being done for Manchester United. 2 outgoings and Kobbie Mainoo could be next. This is interesting. The window is starting to draw to a close and Manchester United are finally doing some action. Will it lead to United actually doing some business in relation to their incomings? I mean, look, it might be a little bit late, but there's a lot of activity going on in the window. Apologies for being a bit late myself. I was just over on That's Football watching a fantastic game of football. It's my escapism because I don't get to see it from United. St. Pauli have a very good midfielder. I've been scouting him for Jeter. Go and sign him, but we can't because he's only signed for them this summer. But ran the game in the midfield. Brilliant tackler, brilliant passing. Oh, how I wish we had someone like that at Manchester United. But we're going to start off with Antony. It looks like Antony is going to go on a permanent deal, which is actually a really positive development. Look, I haven't and I'm not going to slag Manchester United off around the sales of players like this. It's good to get rid of him, but it was always going to be done on his terms, waiting till the end of the window. But in a way, I think United have dug their feet in and have done okay out of this. It's very difficult to criticise, well, not hammer him, he's not somebody who does it anyway. But certainly Barada, Wilcox, Fivel, it's very difficult to be selling players you didn't buy who are sitting on their arse, you know, not doing a pre-season and not bothered trying to get their own way. But this is what we know about Antony. The fee for Antony has been agreed is £21.6 million with a further £2.6 million in add-ons. Manchester United will also have a 50% sell-on clause who hope to benefit if he replicates his Betis form again. The important thing about Antony is it gets a little bit technical, but it's ultimately we thought he was going to go on loan. So the fact that it looks like he's going out permanently is a good thing. There is no coming back. So it's no obligation to buy. It is a permanent deal. It will basically cover his book value. Book value being, you know, he's still got a couple of years left in his contract. We paid 80 million euros. So we won't be taking a loss on him, but we will basically be breaking even and we'll be removing his wages as well. So it's money in the bank. Now, there is reports that he's going to take a sizable wage cut to complete his move to Betis as well. I hope Antony goes off and does well at Betis. I don't really have a huge problem with him other than he's sat on his arse waiting around. If he is going to take a pay cut and we are going to get rid of his wages and we are going to cover what he's owed to us for the last 2 years, then I'm glad he's just gone. And we were never looking to make profit on Antony anyway. A year ago, you'd have took any money you could get that we could break even on. And to be fair, the Betis loan has allowed us to do that. I think he could have gone somewhere for 40, but obviously he was locked in on Betis. So look, we're going to get some money. We're going to get rid of the wage and we'll get 50% in the future, which he may well end up moving on from Betis in the future. So happy just to see that deal done. And hopefully that's going to open up a little bit of movement for Man United in the next few days because we are still desperate for a midfielder. Mainoo has apparently reiterated his desire to go. This is coming out in the last few minutes. We will talk about that too. But that has literally come out from Simon Jones, who broke the Branthwaite story last summer. He is saying that Mainoo has reiterated his desire to leave Man United on loan, despite the club insisting he must stay and fight for his place. This is just not good. It's really interesting because obviously I did the show at 6 o'clock saying back the manager because the manager is basically wanting Mainoo to stay and fight for his place and values him and likes him, and Mainoo doesn't want to do it. And when you read the comments in that show, you can see that there are people out there saying justice for Mainoo, and I mean, look, it's an opinion. You know, I don't respect it, but people are entitled to it. And I find it amazing. I find it absolutely amazing, but not surprising that we have got people who are backing Mainoo on this. I like Mainoo. I just want him to stay. I want the window to close. I don't want him to go anywhere, but I'm worried that we've got a player that's saying, no, I don't want to stay and fight for my place. I don't think I'll get a place. I want to go on loan. And I'm like, you almost want to sit him in a corner and say, Kobbie, you will get a place. There's 2 midfielders in that midfield pivot. Stop getting obsessed with Bruno. You're 20. You can play next to Bruno. You can get Bruno out of the team. You're good enough. You can do it. Why being so defeated and going, I can't do it. I can't do it. I've got to go on loan somewhere else. I think he can get into that team. And if he can't get into that team, then what's he doing here in the first place? Put a transfer request in. It's really, really weird. Really weird. It's I don't know why people are justifying that it's okay to do this. You know, you're turning your back on United to go and play somewhere else for your own benefit. And everybody wants him to stay because we believe he can do a job here right now. We've only got 4 midfielders. I find it crazy that people actually think this is okay. He needs to just listen to the room and say, I'm a Man United player. I love this football club. The fans love me. I'm staying here and I'm fighting. That's all we want him to do. That's all Amrim wants him to do. So, but forget Amrim. We want him to stay and fight for his place as fans, don't we? Stay and fight. Listen to the fans. This is madness. Madness. And I don't know. I don't get it. And the chances of him starting the game tomorrow, I just don't know. I don't know. But just fight for the club. Matty, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. Everyone talks about Hackney, but no one talks about Morris. Same age, arguably Borough's best midfielder. Take a look at him sometimes, says Caleb. Love from Washington State, says Chaddy in the US. Are we back in for Belabor now? Have to be right. Cheers, mate. I don't know anything about that, mate. I wish we were. Whatever happened to United going for Edison from Atalanta, says Ole. Fee is tad low, but I'm glad he's gone, says Evan in relation to Antony. And Matthew says Antony is such a prat for still wanting a payoff. Well, there's more news than that. Because tonight we can get you this from The Athletic. James Horncastle. Man United have agreed a deal with Napoli for the transfer of Rasmus Højlund. Initial loan with a significant fee, then a conditional obligation of 38 million. Obligation is triggered if Napoli qualify for the Champions League, all down to the player to accept. So that's a more difficult. This is really interesting, you know. This is more than a transfer. It actually is an indicator of something we can't do. So remember with Sancho, the obligation to buy was if they finished in the top 14. They did finish in the top 14, and then they sent him back with a 5 million penalty. It's interesting with Rasmus that it's Champions League qualification for Napoli, which they should get. They should get Champions League qualification. But what I find interesting about that is it's not top 4. It's not top 6. It's Champions League qualification. And why is that? Because from Man United and Napoli's point of view, Champions League qualification earns you £100 million straight away. So that's why that obligation is really weird. Not weird, really interesting, because it's not about where you finish in the league. It's about the Champions League and how much money you'll get from that. So, look, I'm conflicted on this. I'm not so sure that going back to Italy for Rasmus is the best thing. I think Premier League or the Bundesliga would have been better for him. But to be honest with you, Napoli on paper is a great offer. He will know some of the players like McTominay. They are in the Champions League. They will be fighting for the title. So obviously he's going to be devastated leaving Man United. As a Man United fan, I think he wanted to stay here and work. But obviously we've brought Šeško in. Amrin wants to go down a different route. These things happen. You're going to go to a team that can win the league and is in the Champions League. And Man United can't win the league, and Man United aren't in Europe. So in a way, it's an upgrade, isn't it? But the important thing is that deal again brings money in. And I think, as a lot of people are saying in the chat, we've moved Garnacho on for £40 million pure profit. We're moving Rasmus on, and we're not making a book loss, and we're covering his wages for a year. We're moving Antony on, and we're not making a book loss, and we're covering his wages. So there is money there, and it can't just be Lemens. Like, we've cleared a lot of money there in a day. Like 40 million pure profit, Rasmus's wage, Antony's wage, a bit of money coming in as well. There's money there to go and put a first instalment down on a midfielder. There is. Can we do it in 3 days? And I'm looking at it now, and the big thing about tonight for me is there's money there to go and get a midfielder. Is Mainoo out the door next? Well, there's money there if he is. So I'm looking at this now and I'm going, look, Rasmus was always going to go. Antony was always going to go. Garnacho was always going to go. There's money there. If Mainoo wants to go and get a midfielder. Go and get a midfielder. And look, I said last Thursday, I'm still a believer. I don't see. I'm not saying it's going to happen. He's the only midfielder we've gone for in this transfer window. We're not talking to anybody else on Friday night, and the transfer window closes in 3 days. A lot of the midfielders that we might want to go for are playing this weekend. Can you seriously get a deal done in 24 hours for a midfielder? Because that's what we're going to have to do, and we have to do it. Can't not get a midfielder. You've got Casemiro, who's basically half retired. You've got Bruno, who's a number 10. You've got Agate, whose confidence is on the floor. And you've got Mainoo, who doesn't want to be here. That can't be your four for the most important area on the pitch. So I'm now of the opinion that even though I've got no source on this, and even though I've got no indication on this, I'm now of the opinion we are going to sign a midfielder. Because if we don't, it's a catastrophe, and everything suggests that we're going to do it. I don't know where Mainoo's head is. I find it strange that he will not stay and fight, and he wants to get a loan. I find it strange. I really, really do. Because if Mainoo goes and we bring a midfielder in, that midfielder is going to go straight into the team. So I'm sort of looking at Mainoo and going, we're going to buy a midfielder when you go, and he'll go straight into the team. Why can't that be you? You played as a bloody holding midfielder against Everton and Newcastle when you broke into the team, and you played there very, very well. There's 2 places in that midfield. You can get one of those places. I don't get why you won't stay and fight. And there might be a story we're not aware of, because Mainoo's a good lad, so there might be something we're not aware of. But if he goes, let him go. If he wants to go on loan, let him go, but go and get a midfielder now. I don't want Mainoo to go. I want us to buy a midfielder and keep Mainoo, but in fairness, maybe that concerns Mainoo. If we buy another midfielder, his chances become less. So I don't know. I have this dream. I have a dream that we loan Mainoo to Brighton, which would be a brilliant club for him, and we get Baleba. I have this theory. I have this theory that Bruno's gone next summer and we get the 100 million. So if we know that 100 million's coming in and we give him Mainoo, can we get Baleba in the next couple of days? I don't know. I don't know. I really don't. Ross says Mark's on repeat about Mainoo. I'm not on repeat, mate. We're talking about buying a midfielder because there's a load of money that's just coming in the last few days. You're just up the arse of a player that you don't even know because you've got it in for the manager. You see, I'm allowed to speculate nonsense as well. Can we get Sancho out before transfer window closes? Zet, I don't care about Sancho. At least Rasmus is off to Napoli. At least Garnacho's off to Chelsea. At least Antony's off to Betis. At least Rashford got his move to Barcelona. You know, Sancho who? Sancho who? I mean, what even is he? I don't even know what he is. I don't give a shit about Sancho. He ain't gonna get. He's not playing for Man United again. If he wants to sit on his arse and run his contract down for a year, it'll just be another waste of a career that makes no sense. Players see what we see. Bruno plays all the games. Players play bad and isn't subbed. Not a fair fight versus Bruno. Amrim said he sees mate. Oh mate, I'm bored of this, Gaz. I'm so bored of this. We spent half an hour talking about this tonight. There are 2 midfielders in that midfield. Mainoo can take the other spot. Piece of piss. Stop being a child going, it's only Bruno. He can only have Bruno's place, and only Bruno will always be picked. So he can only play where Bruno plays, and he can't get picked, so he's right to turn his back on the club. There's 2 midfielders in that team. He could play in the other position. Absolutely. And don't come at me about it, because I'm telling you now, I value Mainoo more than you, because I know he can play in that other position. So all you Mainoo fans saying, he's right to go because he wants to play where Bruno plays and he can only play there. Well, I obviously think he's better than you do, because I know he can play next to Bruno. I know he can play the other position. So I actually think he's better than you lot. We're trying to go, he's right to want to leave because he can only play in Bruno's position. We play a midfield too. He can definitely play in the other position. He should be staying. I want him to stay and fight because I think he's good enough. You obviously don't think he's good enough if you don't think he can play next to Bruno. So what are you moaning about? He's obviously not that good, is he? If Mainoo goes, the player that we bring in needs to work immediately or we're in a big mess, says James. The only Mainoo loan I would do was Brighton and Baleba coming in the other way. And then in a year's time, Bruno goes and Mainoo comes back with a year behind his back in the World Cup. Thoughts on Obi removing Man United from his Instagram bio, says Lars. Oh, God. Don't start all that. Don't do that. Apparently, Evan Whelan says that Antony's move is off. Only this club. Only this club. We weren't even selling him 6 hours ago. Then we are selling him. Okay. Betis has just informed United they will not pay more to cover Antony's shortfall and that their offer is no longer valid. United hopes this is a negotiation tactic and they will return to negotiate a compromise. Betis claim their agreement is considered withdrawn and no longer valid unless the severance package issue is resolved between Man United and Antony. So basically, reading between the lines, Antony has basically robbed Manchester United for 3 years on 200k a week. And now his dream move to Betis won't happen because he wants us to pay him a severance package, the greedy, overpaid prat. Fuck him. Seriously. Let him stay. Let him stay. Let it collapse. I don't give a shit. Don't pay that player a severance pay. Mate, you've had 200 grand a week for 3 years and you're not worth half of it. And now you're trying to get us to pay you again. No, forget it. Forget it. He's a bloody twat, isn't he? He's an absolute prat. He doesn't know he's onto a good thing. What about when we were paying your wage when you had to take a bit of time off because of all those accusations? These people forget this. They forget what this club has given to them that they didn't deserve. And now they want payoffs again. You know, to be honest though, who's to blame? The idiots who gave him the bloody contract in the first place who are no longer here. I mean, you know, if you're Berardi, you must be pulling your hair out because you're like, I didn't do this, and I'm left to deal with it. But we shouldn't be bloody paying him another 200 grand a week as a severance pay. Bloody hell! It's take exactly, Robin Hood. I'm an options trader. Today there have been unusual calls for Man United stock price to double next week, around $33 to $35. Buyout incoming, says Walk and Wonder. I've got no idea what that means. I hope it's right. I don't get our transfer policy this season, says Baker Sam. We've already have Mount, Fernandez, Xerxes, and that can play number 10, but we buy 2 more. Fair point. I get the feeling Mainoo thinks Amrin will get the sack, so then he gets to come back like a new signing for the new manager, says Rob. I would hope that Cobby is not like that. I'm very disappointed by all of it. It makes no sense to me in relation to Mainoo because everything I've ever heard is that he's, you know, grounded, nice lad, and I just don't understand it. I really don't. And you know, if you don't get on with the manager at 20 years of age, this is a problem. You're not established. You're a young player, and you're publicly asking to go because you don't like the manager. It's just, I worry about young players when they're getting that advice. Like, it's just, I just can't imagine David Beckham at 20 years of age before he's established saying, I want a loan, I don't get on with Sir Alex. And Sir Alex was a hard manager. So I don't get why they get their head turned by all this sort of stuff. It doesn't show them in a good light, really. And he's such a fantastic talent. Just get your head down and work. The manager doesn't have to be your best friend in any job or any dressing room. I just hope it can be resolved, but it just seems like, yeah, I don't know. As for the Antony thing, I mean, I don't really give a shit. If he's like, if that deal falls through, you've sat on your arse for 2 months and you can sit on your arse for another 4. And that says everything about him. Belabour to United and Mainoo to Brighton on loan. I'd love it to be true, Castle, but I don't know. SDO, I'm not even going to read that. Van der Beek, in a day, we can do something, says Nick Warren Coaching. There's nothing to suggest. Robert McCormack, you need to stop answering a conversation that might have been 5 minutes ago because I've got no idea what you mean when you say there's nothing to suggest that Amram does. I don't know what you're talking about. Antony, Mainoo, Rasmus. I'm not a mind reader. I don't know what you're talking about. If Mainoo goes, the player we bring in needs to work. I've done that one. Players see what we see. I've done that one from Gaz as well. So let me just go back to the news because there's more coming in as we speak. Yeah, Adam Crafton, Betis are not happy to pay the wages that... Basically, Antony's not taking a pay cut. Just to explain what's happening. So, Betis have agreed a deal with us and a 50% sell-on clause. Antony has agreed to take a pay cut at... Betis, and everyone's going, oh, he wants Betis so much he's took a pay cut. But what he's actually done is he said, I want some of the fee that you're getting from Betis to pay the shortfall on my wages because I'm taking a reduction at Betis. But why should I? Because I'm on 200 grand a week here. So out of that money that you're getting from Betis, you need to pay me what will effectively be £10 million. Because if he's took a pay cut at Betis to below 100k, that's a 100k pay cut a week, which works out at £5.2 million a year. And he's got 2 years left on his contract. So that's 10.4 million. Forget it. I'd rather you sit on your arse and I'll pay it you here, to be honest. I'd sit him in a room and I'd say, you do realise we've given you 200 grand a week for 3 years. That's the equivalent of somebody winning the lottery and you're asking to win it again. You were never worth it, mate. So if you think we're paying you up again for 2 years, I'd rather you sit here and we'll pay it you than go off somewhere else. So, you know, if that's the only way you're going to leave is that we pay up your contract, well, you can sit here and we'll pay you anyway. Drew says, Mark is rage baiting with the 200k comments. Mate, you can round up and round down, can't you? Antony wages, 100 and... Antony's wage per year is 5.4 million. No, that's not right. He's not on 100k a week. Payroll table, here we go. Have they removed him? His wage, it might be because he's on loan. His wage has always been around 180k a week. I don't know. Maybe that's right. I'm sure we've always said he was on 180k a week. Well, if he's not on 180k a week and he's on less than that, fine. But some people are saying it's 105. We've definitely always said he's on 180k a week on this channel. 100%. Not even this channel. It's always been 180k a week. Look, I don't care. I don't really care whether it's 180k or 105k. We still shouldn't be paying his wages off. We shouldn't be giving him a severance pay. I know some of you love Antony and his little fidget spinner thing, and you think he's a good lad. He sat on his arse for 2 months, winding this summer down to get the move he wants, and now he's got the move he wants, and he still wants more out of it. So if you want to defend a player like that, who you don't even know, and he'll never give you the steam off his piss, you know, this is what's wrong with this football club, isn't it? We've got people who put players over the club. What is good about that guy sitting on his arse, winding down to get the move he wants, and then he wants to rinse us for a few more million? Even if he's on 105 grand a week, I bet you Betis can't even pay half of that. So he's still going to want 50 grand a week over, what, how many years? It's still running into the millions. So, you know what? Whether it's 5 million, 10 million, 3 million, you can still go sing for it. So if you're backing a player like that, welcome to the world of Player FC. Some of you are obviously part of it. I'm not going to back it. I back Manchester United. He's earned a lot of money out of this football club over 3 years for doing next to fucking nothing. And now he wants to pay severance as well. Having sat on his arse in a World Cup year when he got into the Brazil squad. Nah. Not interested in seeing his side on that at all. Napoli will be paying a 5.2 million loan fee to Rasmus as per Sky. Therefore, if Napoli qualify for the Champions League deal, will be worth up to 43.2 million. Well, hopefully he'll do well. Ben Jacobs says, key to any deal now being formalised is Antony agreeing terms or Man United contributing to an exit package. Betis will only finalise if Antony's wage demands drop. United sources still insist he has permission to travel, but Betis are delaying it. Yeah. He wants more money, doesn't he? Yeah, well, maybe Betis and Antony should have figured this out over the last 2 months they've been sitting here. Tom says, I sent 3 super chats, but you missed them. Sorry for that, Tom. Antony and Sancho stay. That's 500k a week wasted, says Lewis Smith. I back Amorim 95%, says Keel. If they pay off Antony, might as well pay off Sancho as well, says Jay. And if we don't get a midfielder and somehow win a few games and perform okay, can Martinez play at 6 when he's back with his skill set? A lot of people talk about Martinez playing as a 6, and I think he definitely can, but he's got to stay fit. Chell says, there's no doubt you've built 2 amazing communities. Thank you, mate, and thank you very much for being part of it. Just like that, Antony has pissed off 2 sets of fans. He might as well have gone to Saudi, says Emily Derry. I'd never thought of it like that. Emily is always the voice of reason. I don't think Betis fans are going to be happy about a player that's, you know, basically not coming because he's bartering over wages. Tuchel said that Mainoo will be included if he gets game time. This is all about England, not about United. A student of Luke Shaw and another leech. Ooh, Andreas. Look, I've never thought of it like that. If any player is putting England or Brazil or Argentina over Manchester United, I don't. I'd rather see Man United win the Champions League than England win the World Cup. And I've said this before, and I mean it. Absolutely 100%. I'm not interested. You know, if England win the World Cup, great. I've never seen it, but I'm not interested in international football. It's escapism in the summer when there's nothing else to watch. So if we've got players that value England over Man United, then get them gone. Get them gone. I don't get it. Luke Shaw did it, and I'll never accept that. So, no, I'm not interested in people putting England over Manchester United. Dimish says, Mainoo is a great talent, but you can't allow a 30-year-old to outwork him. Bruno creates space with his movement and makes killer passes. Mainoo doesn't, says Dimish. I don't get this Bruno Mainoo thing. I think people are taking Amorim's comments completely and utterly literally. And, you know, you telling me that Mbeumo and Cunha are going to play every single game and Mason Mount will never get a game. Come on. You telling me Mainoo and Cunha are going to play every single game and Xerxes got no chance? I don't see Mason Mount or Xerxes asking for a loan, because I think there'll be games where Mbeumo plays as a right wing back, or Mount plays as a false 9, or Cunha might play as a left wing. I mean, I don't know whether that will happen, but, you know, I don't see Xerxes going, there's no way into the team for me. I need to go out on loan, otherwise I won't get in the Dutch squad. He's a peripheral Dutch player. I don't think he's in this squad. So, Sam C's just messaged me saying there's nothing done at all between Betis and Antony. So, look, you can look around the team and you can go, I don't see Aiden Heaven asking to go on loan. I don't see Harry Maguire asking to go on loan. And yet they may not get any game time. We're not in the cup. Be Oro, Delit and Shaw and Martinez when he comes back. As I said, Mason Mount and Xerxes. Don't see Ahmad asking to go on loan. They've all got lots of competition, but they're going to stay and fight. Just stay and fight. Stay and fight. I desperately don't want him to go. I think he's a fantastic talent. I desperately don't want him to go. And I think in a year's time, I really don't want it. I don't want him to go. I don't want him to go. I think he's a fantastic player. But I do question why he wants to go. Like, you've got to fight. You've got to fight for this shirt. And, you know, we need players like that. The only loan I would do is that Brighton one. Robert McCormack says, I don't think Mainoo starts tomorrow based on evidence. And that really makes me sad, Robert, because I do agree with you. And in the preview, I had him starting. But you can't do what he's doing publicly and expect to start. I think he would have started if we hadn't had all this. I think him and Bruno did better than Agate and Bruno, and better than Casemiro and Bruno. I think he would have started tomorrow, but I don't know whether he will start now. Hopefully he will. Holy moly, you're still live. Dedication, says Mazraoui. Well, I had to go live after the match because there was a few things to talk about. Mika says, with this new board and recruitment, Mourinho could have thrived. But I trust Amorim. Mark, how are Chelsea able to offload around 13 players for good price and buy before the season starts while we struggle to sell 4 players, says Martin? Because of Manchester United. Manchester United, we're shit at selling. If you want minutes, earn it. No more free rides, says Alex. And with Højlund gone, who's there to support Šeško, says Ahmed. Well, when we've got time, we'll come back to that. Deal's off for Antony now. Ornstein Bomber, apparently. Well, Sam C's just told me that the deal, there is no deal. He's a troublemaker, isn't he? Ollie Mers, sponsored by Ollie Mers, Antony. Troublemaker. I can't see an Ornstein bomber other than Leverkusen and Nkape. It's all going on tonight, isn't it? Bloody hell. Betis sources saying the club has withdrawn its offer for Antony. Sources say Betis cannot afford a transfer fee, nor the amounts the player is supposed to receive. I mean, I could have told everybody this in July. Why has he been sitting on his arse waiting for this? He's a bloody idiot, isn't he? He was on his way to Betis half an hour ago. Look, maybe it will resolve itself. Maybe it won't. But until look, most of today has been talking about bad attitudes, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, I need to get some rest. It's match day tomorrow. But I've had a long evening. That's where we are. I think it's a great point about Rasmus and where we'll be if anything happens to Šeško, because we've only got Xerxes and Obi. I'm not convinced Xerxes works as a striker. I think he's brilliant playing deeper. And Obi's a kid. But we needed to get money in, didn't we? And you can understand why we need to get money in when you've got players like Antony doing that. It's very difficult. Kay says that Antony's attitude's not bad. Mate, I don't care what you think. You're entitled to have your opinion. I said this afternoon. What people don't understand is when I say you're entitled to have your opinion, you'll get somebody going, you're entitled to have your opinion, but Mark will dismiss it. What fucking planet are you living on? You're entitled to have your opinion. I don't have to agree with it. I don't respect your opinion. You're entitled to it. I'm entitled to disagree with it. If you're telling me you don't think Antony's attitude is bad, I will laugh in the face of that and say, in my world, I don't think a professional footballer should sit on their arse all summer, miss pre-season, miss the start of the season, to wind down the transfer window and try and pressure this club to let him go cheap and pay his wages. I think that's a horrific attitude, to be honest with you. And I think the only reason Antony isn't getting more shit is because Garnacho's worse than him. I think his attitude stinks. I think he's took the piss, again, out of a football club whose fan base has backed him. And I cannot understand the modern footballer who doesn't want to do pre-season and doesn't want to play football to make money. So I think he has got a bad attitude in comparison to many other players who, even Marcus Rashford. You can say what you like about Rashford, but Rashford wanted a pre-season so he could be in the England squad and be playing football. He wants to go to the World Cup for England. He wants to get back playing, and he put pressure on everybody to get that done because he wanted a pre-season and he wanted to play football. On the flip side, we've got a couple of players who don't want to do that, and I think that's a bad attitude. I'm sorry if you like him. Maybe he's a nice guy. We're only judging him as a footballer, and I think the attitude's wrong, and ultimately it doesn't benefit us. Free Cobby and free Antony. Done bad by the club, says Sound. I'll leave you with the chat. Why don't you go with them? Cobby's not going anywhere. You go with Antony to Betis. How about free yourself and go with Antony to Betis? And take your Player FC flag with you. If I had a wish from God, I would want Soprano to be the owner of Man United, says Ashish. Thank you very much. Player FC exists. Take a deep breath. Accept that people have different opinions and they're entitled to them. But we don't have to agree with them. Take care, everyone. Match day tomorrow. We just got to, I don't give a shit about Antony, really. We just got to beat Burnley, really. On the Betis side, why did they inquire about personal terms and the numbers involved before winding the window down and bidding? Emily, you've absolutely nailed it again. What the fuck are Betis playing at? They've sat there with Antony for 2 months going, let's wait. We've hit the end of the window. They've put a bid in. We've accepted it. And then they haven't had a chat with Antony that if we get a bid accepted, what wages do you want? How can they sit there for 2 months going, let's wind it down, and then at the end go, shit, we're so far apart on wages. We thought Man United would pay the wages. Do one. Not getting mugged off anymore. Thanks for watching. Take care. Stay safe.